Well, a lot of people have been waiting for this. Tomorrow, a judge is scheduled to sentence Lori-Vallow-Trial. Back in May, an Ada County jury found the Eastern Idaho mom guilty of murder and conspiracy to commit murder in the deaths of two of her kids, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, and her current husband's late wife, Tammy Daybell. News Channel 7's Shira Matsuzawa has been covering this case for 4 years now. She was there for the trial, and now she's in Eastern Idaho live for us tonight ahead of tomorrow's sentencing hearing. Shira?
Well, Doug, you can already see that people are lined up here waiting to get into the courtroom. They're actually planning on camping out here tonight because, as we know, seats are limited there in the courtroom. And earlier today, we caught up with JJ's grandparents, Kay and Larry Woodcock. We'll hear from them in just a moment. But first, what can we expect tomorrow? Well, to find out, I caught up with retired Ada County Deputy Prosecutor Gene Fisher. And for the first time, you also hear from a relative of Tammy Daybell.
So what I miss is when I would go up and we would all get all the girls and go to have a big girls' lunch and, just talk and laugh and tell jokes and take silly pictures. And I miss those lunches.
Vicki Hoban says they haven't had one of those lunches since they lost her niece, Tammy Daybell. She is among those expected to give a victim impact statement at the sentencing hearing for lori-vallow-Trial on Monday.
I'm feeling anxious a little bit. It'll be the first time I'm able to address her, so I do have some things I want to say.
But up until last week, there were some questions surrounding if Vicki would have her say.
State of Idaho versus lori-vallow-Trial.
When Vallow's attorneys filed a motion to stop her from giving a victim impact statement.
At first I was, a little upset about it.
Judge Stephen Boyce rejected the motion and ruled Vicki would be allowed to address the court at the sentence hearing.
We're hoping for, the longest sentence possible.
And what that sentence will solely be up to the judge. We caught up with retired Ada County Deputy Prosecutor Gene Fisher.
If the death penalty had been still considered, the jury would have had, the same jury would have sat and had like a jury part 2. And they would have made the decision right there and then what her sentence would be, and they would have not had to do this whole pre-sentence investigation. But at this point, that's up to the judge to determine, and he's going to look into all that information.
The pre-sentence investigation is an extensive process. Fisher says it will include a deep dive into Vallow's history. Everything
about her life, her marriages, her family. It will also include, most likely, a psychological examination if one of those was requested, and her attorneys, and she, of course, will have been able to review all that, as well as the prosecutor and the judge. In Idaho, all victims have a constitutional right to make a statement at sentencing, where they're allowed to talk about the impact that this case has had on them, and what they would like to see happen for purposes of punishment or retribution.
Then based on that information, the state and defense will argue its case for sentencing.
She's looking at life in prison for first-degree murder. And first-degree murder carries a minimum of at least 10 years that she must serve, and up to, and there's multiple deaths in this case. So the likelihood that she gets anything less than a fixed life sentence, to me, seems very unlikely.
As for Vicki, she's not revealing what she's going to say out of respect for the court.
One of the things that it will include, I should say, is the fact that just her behavior in court was not that of somebody that was sorrowful.
And if Vallow chooses to, she may also make a statement before the judge hands down her sentence.
She will be the last person to make a statement, and the state cannot cross-examine her.
And as Vallow's case wraps up in Idaho, her husband and alleged co-conspirator Chad Daybell's trial is still looming.
Obviously, you knew Chad Daybell. I guess when you hear his name now, what comes to mind?
For the most part, sadness. Yeah. I'm mad too, but for the most part, I'm sad for everybody.
A sadness also felt in the Eastern Idaho community and on display, where the remains of JJ and Tylee were found, and Tammy took her last breath. And you saw that memorial there. We were there just a few hours ago as JJ's grandparents, Kay and Larry Woodcock, also saw that memorial today. Take a look.
She didn't want to be a mom. She didn't want to be a wife to Charles anymore. And so therefore there's 4 dead people. So her and Chad could be together for a few short months.
It's a horrendous crime, and I want a horrendous verdict. I want her to feel it every day, to feel partially what we feel, the loss we feel.
And there were some emotional moments today. Larry also signed each of the letters and signs with a message saying, "Papa loves you." And right now I want to bring in investigative reporter Alexandra Duggan because she too is here at the courthouse with me. And Alex, you're actually one of these folks who are lined up right here camping. How's that going?
Well, we're being eaten alive by mosquitoes, Shira. People have been out here since 4 o'clock. When I first drove by, I thought that they were having a picnic. That was not the case. However, 8 people started here, and now we have upwards of 40 people, I would say, here. And I am staying the night tonight.
Yeah, and we've heard from Vicki and Kay just a moment ago. They are 2 of the folks who will be sharing those victim impact statements. In your experience, when you've seen other victim impact statements in other sentencing hearings, what does that typically look like?
So what this looks like is someone who is impacted and legally qualified as a victim's representative under Idaho law is allowed to give these impact statements, and they will tell the judge how this crime impacted them, their family, how they feel about it, and they can even ask the judge, for a certain sentence. They can talk to Lori if they would like, and usually these are very, very, very emotional statements. And so we expect to hear from Colby Ryan, which is Lori Vallow's only surviving child. We expect to hear from Summer Shiflett, her sister, and also Kay Woodcock, JJ's grandma.
Right. And as we know, if Vallow does choose to talk, she will be the last person to make a statement before we hear that sentencing. But again, Alex will be out here all night. We both will be here as well tomorrow for live coverage, and you can also check it out on KTVB.com as well as KTVB and KTV Plus. And again, that sentencing hearing, it kicks off at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we'll send it off to you, Doug.
And I guess I just have a quick question. So if Alex is going to have to camp out there, I guess that means there are no reserved places for the media, right? It's first come, first served?
Right, that's correct. As of right now, the only people who are having or who do have reserved seating is family as well as law enforcement, and then the rest is, well,
Open
they're
seat.
right here. You
Right.
see them behind us.
I was number 20 in line, so.
Yeah, okay. You can see just how much interest there is in this very high-profile case. Shira, Alex, thank you very much, and we will see you very much tomorrow as this unfolds again here live on KTVB, KTVB.com, and KTVB Plus.